Miles has to die, Marine. We can tell the police that Hank and Vinny were in some weird love duet and that they killed each other. Nobody is going to miss an idiot who works at Walmart. You're crazy!
We are talking monsters in the closet. This is a 2022 movie starting off the year with a low budget anthology movie. Now this is credited to the Snig brothers as the director, but I believe that's actually just a pseudonym for John Backus, who has directed a number of kind of light porno movies along with a couple of B movies as well. And here we have a 4 short story plus a wraparound to form this anthology film. And what's the wraparound? Let's talk about the kind of the setup for this. Okay, so we have this author who has died, and he has been doing some kind of strange occult things, you might want to say, and he's left this kind of video message for his daughter, and he's kind of reading these stories out, and when he reads them, elements of the stories seem to come to life and attack his daughter. And then we have the short kind of stories. So let's just go through the stories briefly, and then we'll kind of give the overall opinion here. The first one is kind of a zombie film, and it's from the perspective of a woman who is kind of turning into a zombie. I think the idea is kind of neat here. We have this kind of inner monologue, and she's not kind of quite understanding what's sort of going on. But we have seen stuff like this before. You'll remember the romantic zombie movie Warm Bodies. It's kind of a little bit like that, but kind of played for more gross kind of humour, if that makes sense, with this woman kind of throwing up every time she's trying to eat something which is not kind of, you know, meat and stuff. I feel the concept would be a fun idea, and there's some reasonable kind of zombie makeup here, although some of it is pretty poor. But this the concept feels like it's kind of stretched out too long. Had this short film been half the length, I actually think it would have been quite punchy, but you feel it's just kind of getting dragged along. And, you know, you could argue there's some internal logic here as well. She seems to be more of sound mind than other zombies, although I guess it's meant to say that all these zombies are having this kind of monologue, but it's just kind of acting like it's weird. But, you know, I don't think it really comes across on screen. And it just feels like the concept it's a fun one, but it feels there's not really any story necessarily, and it kind of feels dragged out because of that. I think, you know, this one was probably one of the better ones as well, I have to say. But at least it tried to have this kind of somewhat of a kind of unique voice, although like I said, it isn't something that is entirely original. The second one, now if you ever want a torture device, watch this second film on repeat. It is excruciating to watch. It focuses on this couple who have bought this kind of new house, and they don't know what they're doing in regards to fixing it up, and it's just them kind of arguing and ending up getting worse and worse with each other. It feels like it's completely improvised. It's terrible. There's nothing good about this one. Nothing. Not one thing. It is excruciatingly painful to sit through, and unfortunately, although none of these films are very good, this one definitely poisons the well, I have to say, and it's just, this is a 0 out of 10. It's unwatchable. That I can't imagine anyone enjoying this in any circumstance. It is terrible, with 2 gratingly annoying characters just seemingly like baby talking for like 20 minutes or however long this is. It is terrible. Okay, the third one, which I would have to say is probably the strongest, is about this kind of girl who comes from a very wealthy family, and she kind of wants to go this camping trip with her friends, all of whom are more regular folk, and her father doesn't kind of want her to. And when she's there, she has a bit of a miscommunication, and she ends up going on a bit of a killing spree. So, and then just trying to kind of justify her behaviour and trying to kind of get out of it using her dad's money and things like this. Again, it's an interesting concept. Doesn't make a lot of sense, if we're honest. I at least thought this one had a little bit of more of a story to it, to be honest with you, than the others. This one was kind of, I think, the most kind of believable to a degree, because it was the most grounded. It's not really believable because you can't imagine that this woman would actually do the things that she does, but it's at least, I think, had the kind of the most grounded concept, and therefore came across as the kind of the most interesting, and had the most interesting characters. And because this one's really not a kind of supernatural horror, because there's no special effects outside of a few kind of crappy gun effects. It's again, it's the most kind of non-abrasive in regards to horrible special effects. And the fourth one is the most kooky one, which is this kind of like Frankenstein-esque movie where this kind of doctor is doing these weird experiments, and it's like horrible green screen, over-the-top cartoonish characters, but there is some weird visuals here that will kind of be a bit amusing at times, and just a little bit kind of like joking and kind of maybe even fun to a degree. But it's like it's just like again, it's a one-trick joke. A little bit of the first one in a certain degree. And then the wraparound story itself, I've got to say, is terrible. Nearly as bad as the second film, with tangentially kind of like related things that are happening that are to do with the 4 short films, but you almost feel like that this is filmed at a completely sort of separate time, and they've used like not the same kind of props and things, so it all looks a little different. And we just have this woman kind of running around from a bunch of shit, trying to, you know, and then kind of deal with the devil, so to speak, at the end. This is a poor film. None of the short stories are good. I think the third one is the best, but even that is below average. And I think the maybe the first and the fourth have a few good ideas, but the second one, and to a degree the wraparound story, are horrible. So the very, very best I can give this movie is a 3 out of 10, and that's mainly because I feel, you know, like I've said, a couple of these were watchable to a point and had some good ideas, but there's some truly horrible ones in here as well. This film was not a good movie in any respect. It's super cheap. It looks like it was super kind of like just thrown together very, very quickly. A lot of dialogue just seems like it was made up kind of on the spot, and it's just not interesting. The concepts here, any interesting concepts here, are just not fleshed out. There's a seed of a good idea here and there in this one, and I think with some more time and budget, it could have been a little better. At least some of these short stories. But the second one, oh my god! I mean, I nearly turned it off. It was unbelievably excruciating. It's a 3 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think? Leave me comments, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.